The 2023 climbing season on Mount Everest started like any other. Climbers from around the world gathered, seeking to conquer the formidable peak. However, nature had other plans in store. Unpredictable weather patterns and increasing challenges due to climate change pose significant threats. The three Sherpas named Dashari Sherpa, Lakpa Tendi Sherpa, and Lakpa Rita Sherpa were on their expedition to climb Mount Everest. The weather seemed quite fine in the beginning, and they were all ready to win over Everest and make it to the list of climbers of Mount Everest. Icefalls are pretty normal when it comes to the highest peak in the world. It is an ever-shifting landscape, mixed with ice and rocks, making it the deadliest situation. There have been countless stories where you would hear about some climber or Sherpa dying because of these unexpected icefalls, and the same happened with the unlucky three Sherpas from Nepal. It was before sunrise that the Sherpas left their base camp to fix the ropes and ascend Mount Everest. It's not that it was the first time that they were climbing any mountain, but when life doesn't want to give you chances, there is no way you can save yourself from what's coming next. The three Sherpas were all veterans of the Himalayas and had summited Mount Everest many times. This time, they were with a 25-person team from Imagine Nepal. The team was assigned to fix the ropes between Camp 2 at 6,400 meters to the 8,849-meter summit of Everest. It is one of the most important jobs of the Sherpas, as without ropes, it's almost impossible to climb any mountain. The team was trying to stay safe from the icefalls for a very long time, and they were successful too, but for a short period. The sun had risen, and they were crossing the so-called football field at around 7,500 meters. As the Sherpas were on their way, they saw a huge section of icefall just in the center. It was also one of the most exposed areas to falling seracs. The Sherpas decided to keep moving, as there was no way to stop when they were this close to the destination. But suddenly, at around 9:30 a.m., the radios of the base camp started giving bad news about an accident. It was said that the three Nepali Sherpas out of the team of 25 had been buried under the icefall, and they fall into the most dangerous part of Mount Everest. It was unclear what really happened because there were conflicting timelines. People had different views on what actually happened up there. Garrett Madison, the leader of Madison Mountaineering, expressed that there were a lot of reasons for what happened. He said that there was a collapse in the Khumbu icefall, and the hollow section of the glacier fell, and the icefall collapsed. According to Lakpa Norbu Sherpa, the Himalayan Rescue Association's coordinator, they were going via the Khumbu icefall when the avalanche occurred. Lakpa T Sherpas captured displays the avalanche that started on the west shoulder and finally reached the ice glacier below. Helicopters had been searching for the climbers, but Lakpa Norbu believed that there was little hope left because Shiri Sherpa, Tendi Sherpa, and Rita Sherpa were buried under several meters of rubble. But no one is sure if the video was filmed on the same day or if it was shot on the following day. The weather was getting worse minute by minute, and then there was news of another avalanche which led to a stop on the rescue operation to find the three Sherpas. It was assumed that they had fallen approximately 50 meters into a crevice before being brutally buried under ice and rocks. The rescue teams believed that even if the Sherpas were alive, there was no way to reach them. This happened to be the first deadly tragedy of the year 2023. Everest is said to be a very treacherous stretch, with every shifting glacier, which climbers have to navigate through snowstorms, which are always a danger for climbers. The next tragedy just happened 15 days after the last tragedy of Nepali Sherpas. It was on 1st May 2023 that we lost another enthusiastic climber to the mountains. Jonathan Sugarman, a passionate climber from the United States, was no stranger to adventure. With numerous successful summits to his name, he had gained a reputation as an accomplished mountaineer. Friends and fellow climbers admired his determination and humility. Jonathan was a 69-year-old retired doctor living in Seattle. He had a love for mountains and heights from an early age, but dropped the idea of becoming a mountaineer due to the risks that come with it. But again, in his 50s, he decided to give his then passion a try. He took his first trip to the mountains with one of his friends and developed his love for mountaineering again. In 2016, he climbed Cho Oyu, the 6th tallest peak in the world. There he suffered altitude sickness and abandoned the summit. But he didn't give up and hired a company to guide him through high-altitude sickness. It looked as if this training for surviving high-altitude sickness was successful because he was able to summon Aconcagua, based in Argentina. Just like this summit, he was able to climb many of the mountains, but his ultimate goal was to climb the giant Mount Everest. He planned to start his journey in April 2023. He traveled to the mountain early in the year with Washington-based international mountain guides. They planned to first acclimatize for at least a month and a half. Then they would summit in May or June. Since he was with the team for more than 3 years, they had built quite a good relationship with each other. Jonathan had brought his plastic trumpet along with him to practice. Jonathan was known for his jolly and whimsical nature. People around him were happy to have him there as he kept the environment light. After they arrived at the base camp, they decided to climb a few of the neighboring peaks to acclimatize. But there came a change in the plan as they decided to start climbing Mount Everest now. So in the last days of April, on one of the early mornings, they left for the summit from the base camp. They began the trek through the Khumbawa Eastfall, where 3 Nepali Sherpas lost their lives just 2 weeks back. The crew practiced on adjacent peaks for a week before mounting Everest on April 17th to begin acclimatizing trips to higher camps. On April 29th, the expedition departed Everest Base Camp for a second ascent to a higher height. Half of the team reached Camp 2, while others stayed at Camp 1. The remaining climbers arrived at Camp 2 on April 30th, intending to rest for a day before moving on to Camp 3 on May 2nd. The route was established properly, and they were eager to go high up as soon as possible. The team planned to spend the night in Camp 2 and get some rest before leaving for Camp 3. This was only supposed to be a routine acclimatization, as they were going to get back to the base camp after touching Camp 3. And this is a very common practice amongst mountaineers. But when things seemed to be going according to plan, a drastic change came. When the team reached Camp 2 at approximately 21,300 feet, Jonathan's health deteriorated. He began to get caught in the high-altitude sickness. At this time, the team members felt helpless and could not do much to make him feel better. In Washington State, international peak guides prepared an expedition for Sugarman, who was making his second attempt to ascend the highest mountain in the world. The guiding company claims that his passing was not the result of a climbing accident or route condition that would have had an impact or safety concern on any other teams on the mountain. In a statement, the U.S. Embassy in Nepal said, "We can confirm that Dr. Jonathan Sugarman passed away on Monday, May 1st, while scaling Mount Everest. The high-altitude sickness came on him quite fast and hard, as if it didn't give other team members enough time to give him proper medical treatment." The rescue teams made attempts to bring back Jonathan's body to the base camp, but it was not possible as the circumstances didn't allow them. Jonathan is the 4th man to die on Mount Everest in the year 2023. This was a loss that put everyone in a deep shock. He was the first American to lose his life after Puey Liu, who passed away from exhaustion in 2021 after reaching Hillary Step, a location close to the main summit. Sugarman added the 20,310-foot Denali in Alaska and the 22,837-foot Aconcagua in Argentina to his impressive tally of peaks during his career. According to Uphill Athlete, he went mountain climbing in Ecuador in November 2021. He reportedly made it to the upper mountain ranges of the 19,347-foot Cotopaxi 18, 99-foot Cayambe, and 20,549-foot Chimborazo before turning back due to avalanche danger. Despite their best efforts, tragedy struck as an unexpected avalanche hit the team during their ascent. In that devastating moment, the mountaineering world lost a shining star. The news of Jonathan Sugarman's passing sent shockwaves through the community. Jonathan was more than just a skilled climber. He was a friend, mentor, and source of inspiration for all of us. He had a distinct way of inspiring others, always sharing positivity and a love of the mountains. As we conclude this tribute to Jonathan Sugarman and the 3 Nepali Sherpas, let us remember that the mountains are beautiful and wonderful, but they demand our utmost respect. May their adventurous soul rest in eternal peace, forever exploring new heights in the realms beyond. To all climbers out there, stay safe, stay vigilant, and cherish the bonds you form within the mountaineering community. Together, we can navigate the challenges of the mountains and continue to embrace the spirit of adventure that Jonathan Sugarman embodied.